Hello, very good morning and welcome to Athavan newspaper highlights. Today, Thursday, 13th of October 2016. This is Edward Udayadas Devasakayam Pillai with the highlights of today's English newspapers. As usual, we have three newspapers for the highlights: Daily Mirror, Daily News and Ceylon Today. Firstly, let's have a look on the Daily Mirror. The main headline says, President hits out, expresses displeasure over dragging former Defence Secretary, 3 retired Navy chiefs to court. Says action would be taken if FCID, Bribery Commission act according to political agenda. Those not aware of national security take wrong decisions. President Maithripala Sirisena expressed his extreme displeasure and disgust yesterday at the dragging to court of the former Defence Secretary and 3 former commanders of the Navy in a case filed by the Bribery Commission. He said lawyers who appeared in the case had alleged that he was behind these actions. He said he did not know about them until later. PM says would renegotiate GSP+. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said yesterday he would visit Brussels on Saturday to renegotiate the GSP Plus facility with the European countries. China assures help for PPPs. China would help support the private-public partnership projects which Sri Lanka was envisaging, including the ones in the south, Chinese Vice Minister of Commerce Wang Shouwen said. Focus on present, don't dwell on past. Special UN reporter. More focus should be placed on the current situation with regard to human rights and minority issues rather than dwelling on the past, the special reporter on minority issues of the United Nations Human Rights Council, Rita Isaac, has said. Secondly, let's move to Daily News. The main headline says, President wants investigative arms. Don't work to political agendas. Displeased over former Defence Secretary, Navy commanders being taken to courts. Problems of the Defence Ministry should be brought to his notice in advance. President Maithripala Sirisena said that he had stated clearly at a special meeting with the Prime Minister and the Cabinet that he is compelled to take certain decisions if the CID, FCID and Commission to inquire bribery or corruption are working to political agendas. Teenage girl killed in safari jeep mishap. A teenage girl was killed after a safari jeep carrying 9 people went out of control and crashed into a mara tree in Sigiriya last morning. Raviraj murder case. AG files written submissions regarding jury trial. The Attorney General yesterday filed written submissions in Colombo High Court explaining his stance regarding the jury trial proposed by the defence in the murder of former TNA Jaffna District MP Nadaraja Raviraj. Government to recall Qatari ambassador. The government has decided to recall Sri Lankan ambassador to Qatar due to his unnecessary interference inconveniencing the Sri Lankans living in Qatar, Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Harshadi Silva said. He said the Sri Lankan ambassador to Qatar, Professor W.M. Karunadasa, has been recalled as of the instructions of President Maithripala Sirisena. The Deputy Minister said there were allegations against the ambassador that he was unduly interfering into the affairs of Sri Lankans, inconveniencing them. He said the ambassador had been asked to cooperate with the Sri Lankans but had failed to do so. Finally, let's move to Ceylon Today. The main headline says, Ranil assures Ganeshan no interference. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has assured Minister in charge of National Coexistence, Dialogue and Official Languages Mano Ganesan that he will create an ambience in which he would function effectively as the Minister of National Coexistence, Dialogue and Official Languages without any interference from other ministries and institutions. The Prime Minister had given this guarantee at a discussion with Ganesan last Tuesday. New anti-terror laws to cap terrorism with safeguards against global terrorists. Sri Lanka needs to update and enhance its anti-terrorism laws so that foreign terrorists are not able to use the country as a safe haven or a recruitment center, Deputy Minister of Media Karunaratna Paranavidana said at the Cabinet media briefing yesterday. Ranil off to Belgium. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will leave for a 5-day tour to Belgium tomorrow night. He will visit the headquarters of the European Union to try to persuade the EU to restore the GSP Plus export facility to Sri Lanka as well as to hold discussions on investment opportunities in economic zones in Sri Lanka. With that, let's come to an end of today's paper highlights. We will come with more news tomorrow morning. Thanks for listening to other newspaper highlights.